Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Valorant Underground. My name is Crips, and with me is the Taxter. This is the tournament for all the underdogs. And when I say underdogs, I'm not just referring to players, I'm also referring to other casters as well. The Taxter over here has done a very good job with his casting over the last few months, and which is why he's a part of this broadcast. And if you think that you deserve to be here as well, why don't you shoot me a DM on my ID down here, and maybe we can get you on this desk as well. Today, we will have a bunch of Valorant players who are looking to go pro, but they're just on the verge of entering the tier 1 circuit. So, today, we'll see what the next phases of the Indian esports system will look like. Who's going to be the next superstar? Zetaxter, what are your expectations from this tournament?
Yeah, just as much as last game which we got to witness yesterday, I expect twice as much as skill coming out of the players here today. And let's not forget, maybe even certain individuals from different orgs within the country themselves are watching tournaments like these, and more tournaments that happen in the scene itself. Carefully, writing down the names of players that actually stand out in terms of skill with particular roles, if not agents. And yeah, I just hope today we get to see much better players out. Not to say that it was anyway less yesterday, but yeah, you'd like to see the skill improve and the players improve day by day.
Oh yeah, definitely. The whole point of this tournament is to upgrade everyone's skills, right? You might be scrimming all the time, but it's a completely different environment when you're playing in a tournament. And this tournament, it acts like the stepping stones towards success. You perform well in this tournament, you get noticed. Even if your team doesn't make it, you will definitely earn some notoriety and maybe a couple of fans as well when you perform well over here. And who knows? I mean, the off season is quite long, and the next season of the Indian South Asian Challenger Circuit is going to be even more exciting. So maybe this will act as a practice ground, a proving ground for you, so that you can step up your performance over there as well. I mean, there will be plenty of people who will say that hey, South Asian Valorant is dead. I mean, I beg to differ. And to everyone else who's a naysayer, I think they just don't believe in themselves as much. They don't believe in themselves as much as I believe in these underdogs, and I believe in the potential future that these guys have.
Yeah, likewise, I resonate with that wholeheartedly. Considering, we saw an example yesterday. You mentioned how Kibo had actually played with the godlike roster last time
Hmm.
out in a professional tournament, and clearly, if you've got players with such stature already in this tournament, what's to say the ones competing against them aren't at the same level, if not closer to that level already? So yeah, and with regard to South Asian Valorant being dead, I disagree completely. Just like you,
Yeah, I don't know where these guys get
it's
that
a
from,
joke.
man. Honestly, it
Yeah.
is a joke,
Uh,
and it's not even a funny one for that matter. So, all jokes aside, let's get down to brass tacks. Let's see who's going to be participating today. We have four teams who will be taking part today. Of course, the teams that face each other first will be Team Chaos and Timekeepers. The next match that we have is going to be Fire 5 Esports versus Team Insanity. The losers of both of these matches will then face each other for the third match of the day, where one of these teams will be eliminated. Yes, I know it's a bit dark, I know it's a bit grim, but one of these teams will end their journey in GE Valorant Underground tournament today. So, since elimination is at stake, I hope everyone brings their A game to the table.
Yeah, surely enough, you'd like to think so, considering one of the teams are heading out, like you mentioned, and just purely based off of making any kind of judgment based on team names alone, Team Insanity
Mhm.
seemed like one to watch. I'm gonna go ahead and put that name out there, even well before we even reach any kind of agent select stage in today's matches. But yeah, we got three matches lined up, and much like yesterday, and hopefully, folks watching are just as excited as I am and on the edge of their seats.
I think on the edge of their seats doesn't even begin to define the level of excitement I have today. It's a bit different, when you've casted some of the biggest Valorant tournaments in the world. It's a very different vibe when you're casting a community tournament. And part of the reason why I'm
Mhm.
excited is because we get to see stuff here that isn't necessarily considered meta, but it's still damn entertaining to watch. Yesterday we saw something similar, right? Yesterday we had a dude pick up Viper on Haven. Not the most conventional pick, And I was thinking maybe they'll go along the lines of a Harbor Viper composition, something that Loud likes to show. Even DRX flirts with the idea of using a Harbor Viper on Haven every now and then. But they picked a Haven, they picked up Viper and Omen. Definitely off meta. And I kind of felt like they were punished significantly enough for it. But I still give them props for trying. Creativity is always awarded over here.
Yeah, surely. If you don't try, you're never gonna figure out whether something's gonna work or not. And yeah, tournaments like that are an opportunity. You mentioned scrims yesterday and today as well, and that's another opportunity as well. To experiment here and there is what you want to see. And hopefully, going into the first match itself, we're gonna get to see a bit of experimenting from these two teams as well, on the agent select front, if not strategy.
या डेफिनेटली ऑन द एजेंट सेलेक्ट फ्रंट आई होप कुछ ना कुछ क्रिएटिविटी देखने मिले हमने
Mhm.
कल वाइपर देखा आई होप आज हमें कुछ और भी अच्छा देखने मिले मे बी अ लिटिल एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन इन टर्म्स ऑफ इनिशिएटर्स विल बी रियली नाइस तो बिना किसी वक्त जाया किए लेट्स जंप
Yeah, as we
आई
head
थिंक दे आर
into
गोइंग
Agent Select over at Ascent, a map you said you weren't too big a fan of, at least for yesterday. And I think most of the players, at least in rank, they enjoy this particular map. But let's not forget, it's one of the maps that have stayed in the game from the very beginning. As soon as it came out during the
या
beta, not yeah, during the beta, if I got that right. But after official launch, surely enough, and we've got some similar picks on either side this time around, almost a similar comp.
Yeah, similar comp, meta comp. See, that's one of the reasons why I don't like casting Ascent every now and then. In VCL South Asia, this was the most played map. 40% of all the matches in South Asia were Ascent. Uh, Recently, in the off season, I've seen that the teams are trying to experiment. Reckoning Esports likes playing Sunset every now and then, which I absolutely adore. I love that they're experimenting. लेकिन Ascent का मेटा वही रहा है. वो change हुआ ही नहीं है, थोड़ा भी नहीं हिला है. Now, I think it's still going to make a difference over here because these are not professional teams, at least not yet. They will be professional someday. And इसलिए इन लोग का play style शायद थोड़ा अलग हो सकता है from the standard Ascent gameplay that we are used to seeing. A little bit of puggish knowledge over here, a little bit of off timing peaks over there, something that you won't really expect to see. अगर ऐसी कुछ चीजें दिख जाए ना तो शायद फिर भी थोड़ा मजा आ जाए.
Yeah, I really hope for this for the same Crips. And right now we got Team Chaos attacking and Timekeepers defending. And yeah, we spoke about levels yesterday, and clearly some of them are have been playing the game long enough. And going into Ascent, I'd like to think we see a lot more activity down in mid, more so than on the sites itself. If I'm just thinking objectively before we even see a round out of either of the teams.
Yeah, objectively, mid control is naturally important. That's like the bread and butter of this map. But hey, some teams really like to put on those A main executes, B main executes. And especially since these guys are still entering the professional circuit and not used to the brass tacks everywhere, I think we might get to see some experimentation from their side. I mean, even a simple B rush can look very different if it's not a tier 1 team doing it. And sometimes that is more entertaining.
And yeah, you'd like to think the second they headed into this particular screen on our screens as well, each team would have said, "Hey, they're on the same comp as us. Maybe they might just end up doing the same things as us, and we'll be able to counter it as quickly as possible." But I'd like to think there's a level of a bit of imagination on either side on how to play the same comp, the meta comp as you mentioned, and they get a little bit. Pull away something completely different. Maybe even something you'd usually see in ranked games, but they end up working up against a team in a tournament like this.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes rank gameplay is also quite entertaining. It may or may not be frowned upon to play in that manner, but it definitely can be entertaining. Definitely more than your average Ascension gameplay on a map of Ascent. I think these games can be more entertaining that way, simply because of the randomness factor that can exist. So, without further ado, let's jump into this game, guys. We have Timekeepers on defense, Team Chaos on attack, standard compositions. I'm expecting that maybe their killjoys on either side will keep changing their setup every now and then. I mean, for now, every killjoy, as they always do, starts off on the B side. Typical turret on top of the B site entrance, alarm bot on mid, something that you're always used to seeing. But I hope we get to see some innovation after that. No nanoswarms put up by Timekeepers yet, which is a bit surprising. But maybe she doesn't want to invest just
Yeah,
yet.
and it does seem like Chaos is clearly taking it a bit more slow. I think one of their players might just be having an issue of sorts, but they'll be heading back
Oh
in.
no.
Probably an opportunity for Timekeepers on that front, but they're sitting tight on their sides, a default hold as you'd expect from any team in a scenario like this. But yeah, by the looks of it, we are gonna wait until that
Yeah,
player shows up.
we are. It's not like fully defaulted, right? At least not on the side of Team Chaos. They're so as away from their team. Uh, Now, this isn't really that big of a deal, but since we have time to discuss, मैं बस ये बताने वाला हूँ. Usually, one would expect to see the SOA with the team and the KO a little away. Because if you're trying to sell a fake, you would rather have the KO do it because KO has the flashes as well, right? One would assume कि हाँ, because KO यहाँ पे है, entry लेने के लिए flashes use करेंगे, तो ज़्यादा अच्छा रहेगा. That's the standard belief. But if you keep the KO away from you, that isn't really that big of a deal. It still work out, of course, because your jet will obviously need the flashes if you want to get dashed inside and whatnot. So maybe I'm overthinking this one. Maybe I'm reading into it a little too much. But Desua will have to catch some wonderful timings if he really wants to bamboozle Timekeepers over here. And it seems like we are ready. Should be getting started with the game soon enough. I know it's a little useless to ask you to predict, but Zetaxos, do you have any particular favorites over here?
Well, I gave out a prediction earlier on about Team Insanity. In these two, like again, I'm an advocate for Chaos. So based on that, Team Chaos maybe
Uh,
considering it's in their name.
simply judging by the name that way. Okay, understandable. You go after the vibes, right?
Precisely. And one more thing, since we're just speculating, and as the game has begun by the looks of the clock, they had two players down in mid market, which I found unusual. But he's repositioned himself back towards mid spawn almost, and looks like it's a hit towards mid. After all, they're going to try and get that mid control pretty early on into round one, and head towards B.
Yeah, I think they're trying to go for a mid plus B crunch, and let's see how successful this will be because both the Omens have blocked each other out. Kuwari has been blocked off by the opponent's smoke, and he will try to peek out of it once he catches the timing. But for now, the B main assault is already underway. Sulkas gets the first pick, instantly to be traded out. But guess what happens when you run out of bullets at the first possible time? This is exactly what happens. They successfully crunch mid, but now Kuwari has an opportunity to kill the spike carrier, and the spike carrier gets across. Protect will indeed protect his teammates, living up to his name, and the spike goes down. 2v3 retake, but the jet is low, so it can be a 2v2. Maybe if I spoke too soon.
Fumbled the opportunity clearly on Timekeeper's end, but it is a level playing field in every sense. Jet versus Jet, KO versus KO, and each one of those players down on health. So they're expecting someone to be in mid-market. Clearly nobody is there. But can they expect this lane push? Will they? Yep, Trey for Trey couldn't expect it. And the attackers end up winning that one. Get themselves the round one. Team Chaos off to a good start.
Indeed, off to a good start. I have to say, Timekeepers expected someone to be in market, and they weren't half wrong. There was someone in market, the keyword being was. That dude went all the way around the CT spawn, circled around from the entrance of B-side again, and shot them in the back of their heads. So they had a fair idea about what would happen, but they just couldn't get the timing right.
Yeah, it goes to show as a duelist, you need to be ready to adapt for every round in every situation and get those frags where it counts. As the reveal comes through down into Cubby, didn't spot anyone because nobody was there, but mid complete control. Like, if anyone dares goes into mid, Timekeepers are the ones ready to take it on, ready to take on Team Chaos, but a pick for pick goes through over at B main, and all of a sudden Timekeepers down on players.
Oh, and you speak about being down on players. They keep falling like flies. No way of recovering anything over here. So the best that they can do is continue flanking, hopefully recover one of these weapons. It is up for grabs, but the spacing in between the players of Timekeepers, I am not really a fan of it.
Spike planted.
Yeah, you gotta think twice about things like that. But leaving on Team Chaos' side, leaving a Killjoy on the lurk, hoping for a flank to come through, is a smart decision. She didn't clearly spot the Jet and the Sova, so they don't know really where Sukaz as well as their Jet Monka is heading through. But they are expecting a push from heaven at the very least, Team Chaos here, and it just might be right. So clearly, Jet's been spotted, so has been Sova. Tenid gets one, and it's all down to Monka over at Timekeepers. And what will he do? He needs to try to ensure eco, but looks like the Chaos is pretty happy with the round win and is going to back off completely, save whatever guns they have. Monka will fall to the spike, and that is round number 2, heading towards Chaos' side.
I will take back here. Here.
Well, at least he gave up his life to the spike and not to the opponent guns, so he denies them the ultobs, stops himself from getting the penalty. Economically, Timekeepers can afford to purchase better weapons, and Team Chaos can continue on their bonus round. But so far, their split pushes towards mid have actually worked out quite well. And if that is the spacing that Timekeepers have in this round as well, I think Team Chaos can punish this full buy round quite easily.
And yeah, once again, Timekeepers are expecting some sort of a mid attempt once again, but this time just left Kuwari as they did in round number 1. Team Chaos, a different approach completely. They're heading through Catwalk.
Yeah, and I noticed something really weird. The Omen on Team Chaos actually smoked off mid by himself. Of course, he's put the deep indented smoke, the one which the attackers would use to flood out with flashes, but I don't think Timekeepers are falling for this bait. They've already called their bluff and they're smoking off A main simply to delay as much as possible. Team Chaos, of course, have plenty of time in their hands, so they're not gonna hurry or not gonna make any more rushed up moves. But they will continue to deploy this mid smoke again and again in an attempt to sell the mid plus B fake. I don't think it's gonna work that well, but because Protect just got a kill towards 3, now their plan might just start to get a little bit more steam. They fake their presence towards a shot. The Omen once again smokes out 3, but they are now heading towards the B side. Only the Killjoy can stop them for the time being. No other backups available. The Nanoswap must burn as much time as possible. But hey, Timekeepers are not rotating yet.
Yeah, they're using their time pretty well. They used their time pretty well to execute this B hit pretty fine. And they got the complete side, 3 players on site as well. And an opponent in CT, but they've got, you know, Percocet on the Jet waiting in mid, so any kind of rotation coming through, she should be able to get one at least, I'd say, as he takes the fight against the Omen and KO. Too much power to handle for that Jet and falls to the likes of Timekeepers, but she's got plenty of teammates right there to take care of themselves or not. Kuwari goes down to Wiz, and as Warhawk takes Rudy off the map. And it's all down to the Sova of Sukaz and how long before he falls. Barely any time. That's round number 3 going in the favor of Team Chaos all over again.
I knew it would be easy, but
Hey man, I'm really sorry. I've been saying that guy's name as Protect. I just realized it's Percocet, so really sorry I couldn't read into it. In my defense, the special characters that he's using to like write that E can be a little jarring. So
Yeah,
my bad if I say his name incorrectly.
Yeah, it took me a
But
while.
hey, it's the skill that
Green
matters.
and
Yeah, it
whatnot.
took me a while. Yeah, indeed.
alarm bot out.
And Zetax, just screw you, man. You didn't even bother correcting me instantly. You noticed his name was Percocet, and I've been saying it wrong like 2-3 times. You didn't even bother correcting me, man. So here, I guess you were trying to be nice. Yeah, I guess.
That's on me. I'm too engrossed in the map. Like I don't want to miss a single thing that goes down in mid. Disappointed that no one's heading down mid this time around. But then again, it is Valorant. You can't expect to do the same thing every round and get every round towards your favor. Team Chaos has understood that, and as I say that, they're heading down mid again. As hilarious as that ended up sounding. And mid does seem open for them with just Sarkaz down in mid market. He would have gotten a bit of info, and he's got a teammate coming his way as well. But can he hold that mid spot? One thing that stands out for me from Team Chaos' side is that they use the clock pretty well into their favor. They're not hesitant to just wait it out sometimes.
That's done.
And their patience will indeed be rewarded. Wiz opens up things towards the B main side of the map, but Percocet's about to get shot on the back of his head. Who would have
30 seconds
expected that the defenders re-aggress down mid once more? And again, see? That's what happens when you re-aggress down mid and the enemy simply have no idea. Timekeepers, they were at a severe disadvantage, but somehow they managed to equalize the things now. Although the flanks aren't really done yet. Team Chaos once again using the CT in area market. In the pistol round, this was quite the opposite. They used market TT and now they're going to be completely around. Oh no, hit Unity still gets the kill onto Rudy. And Wiz will be able to clean things up. Tenet did not need to show up at all.
I'm genuinely surprised how they made that work 4 times. Of course, it's a different kind of setup pretty early into the round, but at the end of the round itself, they have leaned towards mid and towards the B side on three of those rounds out of 4 so far, and it's worked towards Team Chaos's benefit clearly. So Timekeepers might just want to shake things up a bit, probably attempt to be a little bit aggressive on defense, which is counterintuitive in the scheme of things, but maybe something different is what Timekeepers needs right now.
Bog, very interesting recon, 100 on 100. But hey, this Killjoy setup has changed. The turret position is now towards market. Reasonably so, because Timekeepers have been backstabbed via market twice. And that too in post-round situations, not even like towards the start of the round. So this will definitely bother them later on. The alarm bar hasn't really changed, but now there's a nano swarm on top of it just to make sure the Team Chaos can't sneak up mid quite early on. But this is quite interesting from Team Chaos. I haven't really seen anyone else do it. They usually smoke off this area. Cool enough. Almost every attacker does it. But not when they're trying to go mid themselves. Rudy on top. He'll get traded out by Percocet. And there's no other sort of follow-up. So right now, in this 4v4 situation, both the teams kind of fall into this awkward limbo of sorts where they have to determine where the next move is going to be. And this usually is the perfect time for defenders to go aggressive and try to gather information. If not go aggro, have their SO or shoot out a recon and figure out what's going on. Because if Timekeepers just give Team Chaos
30 seconds
all the
left.
time in the world to hit their site and line up their executes, they will be in for a world's pain.
Yeah, and after a bunch of rounds heading over to B, even though Timekeepers were prepared for it, they weren't prepared to clearly head back, rendezvous back into heaven
You
and
should
ensure
run.
they can execute a full side retake. And the lockdown comes through from the attacker. Killjoy Percocet gets 2. Monka with the trade onto Nevermind, however, on the other side. And will they be able to get this retake done? Monka gets Percocet regardless, and it is 2v2 as you'd expect. And you'd argue the advantages with the attackers, but how much longer before they can get the defuse? Monka falls down, hasn't even half the spike by the looks of it, and it's all down to suckers
Just save.
who might just fall after all.
5-0, man. I hate to be cynical, but this is looking quite subliminal. These guys are getting rolled 5-0.
Yep.
Team Chaos indeed planting the seeds of chaos in the minds of Timekeepers and making them question their own decisions every single moment.
Every round. Yeah. I mean, to Timekeepers' credit, right? They did try something a bit different. You could argue instead of having just one player down in tree, they had the KO deeper into Cubby, which allowed them to get that first blood in that round. But that was clearly not enough. They expected Team Chaos to lean towards B side once again, but Team Chaos, as confident as they might be, headed into A, and you can see a completely different setup from Team Timekeepers this time around. I had mentioned a bit more aggressive might just help in their favor, and the moment of truth, trade for trade, they go on either side of the map. 4v4 as it stands, things haven't leaned towards either team just yet, and as I mentioned before, Team Chaos, smart with time, they're okay with letting the time play out and making it work in their favor.
Hey, at least by pushing out of A main, they figured out that Team Chaos isn't anywhere over here. This, on paper, should let them stack the B side, but they are actually falling back away from the B side and leaving it empty. They're completely misreading the situation.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly surprised by this, even after info. But I guess they're convinced. They pushed them back enough to just wait and come back to A. But clearly a wrong strategic call. Regardless, Team Chaos being cautious as they can through the side. And I'm pretty sure they're just as
30
surprised
seconds
as we are to see B side completely undefended. The plant goes down and they set themselves up for a post-plant situation with the SOA heading back to main. So B main, SOA, and of course let's not forget they don't have a buy on Timekeepers side. They're all with pistols at the very least, but they do have some sheriffs, so you can expect some cheeky plays from the likes of Timekeepers. I'm being optimistic here. How is this retake gonna play out?
Well, at least this retake seems promising. They finally have a man advantage after 5 rounds of being on the back foot. And Sukas with the ultimate gets them another opening as well. But Perky said he's about to go ahead and kill Soa, who was trying to use that Hunter's Fury. Ends up killing everyone else in the process too. Sheesh! Team Chaos, despite having a man disadvantage.
But yeah, I think they should do more of what they did early into the round, at least on Timekeeper's side, being a little bit aggressive, getting that initial info, but make it work in their favor at the very least. Unfortunate for them to fall for that and end up going back to A when B was where it was at. And that was probably the only round they actually leaned heavily towards one side. Regardless, onwards, we go a default serve once again for Team Chaos. An aggressive push from Timekeepers once again on A main. This time even more aggressive, but trade for trade they go, but not enough though, not enough for them to make a solid spot on the board, or perhaps enough considering they got 2 players of Team Chaos off the map. But again, a lack of info for now. I don't see too much of aggressiveness coming through from Team Chaos over at B main. So I don't think Suckers actually knows he's got 2 opponents in tiles.
Yeah, they don't know that yet, but I cannot feel. I kind of feel a little awkward, especially given the position of Sukaz. He's playing ahead of his own Killjoy's alarm bot. He can play a little further back. I guess the only reason he's doing it is because he wants to build a crossfire with his fellow Omen, who's playing on a shot. I guess that's the only reason why you want to go for a crossfire like that. And I hope it pays off for them because Team Chaos has been abusing mid quite often. If they're able to hold this area to by themselves, then I think they should be fine. But Warhawk, he's walked right out of A main. He creates a massive opening. And he's killed Kuwari as well. All that mid defense is now going to crumble from Timekeepers because they ignored it on A. And now they're paying the price for it. This is the second time in a row where Timekeepers have the man advantage at the start of the round, but they fall short in numbers by the time the plant comes through.
Yeah, and Team Chaos had the side, gets the plant down, but Warhawk falls to Zayn on the other end. And if Zayn can pick one more, it can pick Tenid out in time. That Killjoy might just be caught slouching, but Killjoy's there up in main. So Zayn, tricky position, and that's Killjoy spotted. Zakaz picks off Wiz after all. This might be the first round for Timekeepers. It is the first round for Timekeepers. They'll be happy about that.
Yeah, first round on the board. Timekeepers finally get to breathe a sigh of relief, but this is going to be a long, and it's still at risk at the same time, because if they lose this round, they will be back down to max loss bonus. Not even max loss bonus, a little less than that. So yeah, I kind of think that they need to win this round. If not, most of their players won't have enough money. It's only Viz, their Killjoy, who has, no, not Viz, I'm sorry, Arzane, the Killjoy, who has some sort of money left over in the bank.
And
but plenty of ultimates available.
Chaos, I don't see.
That's nice.
Go ahead. Credit to Team Chaos, as I was saying, especially on Percocet's side, he hasn't gotten too ambitious enough to pull out the operator just yet, even though he could. Still leaning towards mid once again, trying to get any info they can down in mid. Of course, they are aware. Stoa, as always, over on the tree side, expecting a push from Catwalk, which they had seen on more than one occasion so far, as the drone from Warhawk comes out for any kind of info down in mid apart from that SOA. So they're a bit cautious down in mid. They're expecting more than just the SOA to be.
Seconds left.
Indeed. This Killjoy has a lot of responsibility on her shoulders. She's supposed to slow them down, and that's not enough time.
And hopefully this is their groove all the way to a 6-6 half. best of situations for them and try and attempt to take it on attack. But then again, do you want to be 6-6, only 6-6 on defense? Perhaps not, but that's the only option on their cards for now. On Team Chaos's side, as much as that execute onto B didn't go their way, I think they're still leaning towards it. I think they're still confident that they can pick B side off, or at least lean towards B to get that bit of info or force Timekeepers' hands to ensure advantage. And you can see them a bit more aggressive into B main. We haven't seen this from Team Chaos before. They're aware now that there is Killjoy inside. Through goes Chaos, and they'll get that plant down.
Spike planted.
3v4 once again. Timekeepers have found themselves in this situation a bit too often now. For those of you watching, we are aware that the stream is a little laggy. We are trying to fix this, so thank you so much for your patience. We'll try to get it fixed as quickly as possible. But for now, Timekeepers need to fix themselves this round. They managed to get the opening they required. 3v3 turning instantly into 3v2 as Kuwari also chimes in. They've also used the Molly on B main, so nobody can backstab them. Team Chaos can't really set up a crossfire of sorts, but never mind, almost bring everyone down. It's Rudy to save the day in the end. And Timekeepers get themselves yet another.
Specifically, that retake onto lane, got it right through and through to get that third round. So clearly, as we mentioned last round, right, Timekeepers, they stepped up, they understood, they learned what Team Chaos is half sight and getting that retake done. Tactically, in comparison to the first couple of rounds, they executed that retake. But then again, if you think about it, Team Chaos, they haven't gone back to what they were doing before, which is heading on to Catwalk, and based on the pings on the map, I reckon they're going to attempt it this time.
I hope so too. Timekeepers' attempts to play aggressively towards the start of the round haven't really gotten them too much. Every now and then they would aggress down A main with the paranoia and the jet dashing in, and sometimes it gets them kills, but they're just simply not able to capitalize on it nearly enough. I think some mid-round B side. Of course, they haven't stacked the B side yet. So on Timekeepers still suspicious about any potential lurk coming in from mid, especially since they don't have an alarm bot this time over there. So he's gonna have to manually mark this angle. Oh, but the timing from Rudy, it's perfect. Even Percocet is aware about the potential flank, and he just needs to get out of there. Use the cloud burst to sell the fake that he's going away, but instead he's still there. And now Team Chaos, they push the pedestal. They are trying to get inside the B side as quickly as possible, but the nanoswarms in the way will stop them. Silk has it now, he's positioned back on mid. Perfect in time for interception.
30 seconds
Trapped in
left.
between a rock and a hard place, somehow needs to find an opening over here. He's trying to reduce the pressure coming in from mid doors, and he manages to do so, only to lose his life to Arsene in the end, who's spraying everyone down. Percocet, battered, bruised, somehow makes his way into the side, and he's worried about getting pushed. That's why he's trying to go for the fake plant, hoping that they will overextend and grant him a kill. But time is running out, and he needs to get this plant down. If not, he will just have to fight everyone and kill them. And even that won't happen.
Well, you gotta feel for Percocet. He was pretty much bullied into not planting that spike. A bit too worried about pushes coming through, as those two flashes from KO that came through into sight. But then again, at that point, Percocet's opportunity had gone, and the Jets had aligned themselves for an aggressive retake and picked him off the map. As a timeout comes through, a 60-second timeout, probably a good time not only for the players but for us to just figure out how things went. And if one would really put into what just happened the last 10 rounds, I'd say they really learned quite a bit, Timekeepers, about Team Chaos in the first 5 rounds at the very least. And probably that 6th round could have gone their way, but they fell short. But yeah, they adapted. They got 4 rounds on the board now. It's looking like a 6-6 half from where I'm sitting. And that's the most ideal of situations given the way they started.
Exactly, right? They started off by trailing 0-5, and yeah, that can be a little difficult to come back from. And they managed to come back from it without a tactical timeout. This is their first tactical timeout. So I think with this, they should get even more momentum to hopefully tie this up at 6-0. 4 rounds back-to-back, which means the once upon a time economic turmoil that Timekeepers found themselves in, that doesn't exist anymore. They should have enough money for the next round as well, and the last round of the half. Of course, they won't be able to afford an op in a situation like this in case things go wrong. But hey, something better than nothing, right?
Placing swarm.
Get out of my way!
Yeah, precisely. And this time around, Team Chaos on a proper save, but one of their players has a buy. I see that's the Zoa. Ooh, Monka, you don't want to be missing that, but probably this round is when you can afford it. And I'm glad to see an operator out after all, but Percocet on the knives, on the blades, making his way through Cat. I think he's comfortable. He's learned that, you know, if it's not broken, let's keep on doing it. And that Cat push has worked. At least getting one pick on the board matters for Team Chaos.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. This Team Chaos actually has been able to consistently get picks on A shot, but I've never seen them capitalize on it that much. I'm not saying that they can't take the A side. They're more than capable of hitting A main with brute force and still getting the side under their control. But I haven't seen them exploit A shot nearly as much as they should be, especially because they're getting picks on it. So why not?
Exactly right. And I think they're just a bit too nervous and can't really put the finger on what really Timekeepers try down in tree. I mean, they've seen only one player holding it for the most part. This time it's
30
Monka on the
seconds left.
operator, just waiting for the opponent jet to come through. A blind shot doesn't connect as you'd expect, but that jet is coming through aggressive. But Percocet falls to Monka after all. Didn't get it twice, but third time's the charm. Wadi gets dead. Rudy gets Nevermind on the Molly as Warhawk gets the trade, and that's only just one on the board for Timekeepers. On Timekeepers' side, just one player
Last
from their
round
team
in
falling.
the half.
And as expected, now fifth round for Timekeepers, and round number 6 is what they'll be playing for. Will we be seeing an advantage heading into the sides being changed for Team Chaos? Will we see a flat 6-6 for Timekeepers? It'll be interesting to see how this particular round plays out.
Placing alarm bot. Placing swarm grenade.
Well, I mean, our advice to them kind of failed, right?
Placing
Advice
sentry.
Team Chaos to go towards a shot and
Placing
exploit
swarm
the main
grenade.
as much as possible. They tried doing that, but Timekeepers really bought back. Now, final round of the half, and Monka W, he's pulling out all the stops. Venture deep enough, and he should be able to break the alarm bot of the attack and kill drive, which definitely should ring an alarm bell. Right now, the only alarm bell that I can see is the fact that the spike is all the way in spawn. So that could be a bit weird. But hey, Kubari, he's not going to give up his life now. Paranoia's jets and the drones trying to hunt him down, but he makes his way back to the tree, safely for the time being.
Yeah, that first contact once again in A shot, but this time Team Chaos, Percocet, he's not been audacious to enter. He's just fallen back completely as soon as that smoke came down as well. Didn't really attempt to pick off that Omen, and you can see Omen just headed on back down to Gen in A site. Everybody on Timekeepers are just holding because they're aware down in B their teammates got an operator and should be able to at the very least hold up that aggression
should
from
run.
Team Chaos. But with the orb being picked up and the
And the spike goes down. However, here comes the first contact towards mid. This is what we were waiting for, but Percocet misses the opportunity. Monka still gets to keep the op and his life. This should make things a little easier. Timekeepers have plenty of ultimates to flush them out. They can't use the lockdown yet because Team Chaos has their Hunter Security too, but their own Soa can respond in kind. And now it begins. Both the Soas each other down. The first pick comes through from Warhawk, and it's down to the last man. It's all on the Nevermind, and he's doing everything so far. He's getting pushed one by one. Almost an ace clutch. Almost an ace clutch, but Arzane saves the day in the
Imagine if I
end.
died right
The scores
now.
will be tied.
So funny.
Sheesh.
yeah, you can say sheesh
no,
again.
you
That
don't
wasn't
deserve
easy for
vengeance.
Timekeepers to do at all. It was like their Omen just it was as
Switching
if Team
sides.
Chaos's Omen just woke up in that 6 as the half ends.
Whew. Well, this has been an entertaining half so far, isn't it? We started off with a 5-0 lead for Team Chaos, and then Timekeepers just woke up and chose violence again and again. I was kind of criticizing their early A main pushes, but eventually it gave them enough idea about what Team Chaos plays like, right? They started to realize that Chaos may or may not prioritize A main and B main all the time, and mid is usually where they keep themselves at. So they just held the market control all throughout, and they weren't very quick on rotating. Of course, it did come to bite them in the rear end at certain occasions, but I think because they were delaying their rotations and not falling for the fakes every now and then, Team Timekeepers were able to somehow bring it back to a 6-all. Of course, it could have been better, if if they didn't have such a slow start. But hey, at least you recovered it, right? And now it's an even Steven scoreline. I think that's what makes for the most entertaining match possible.
Yeah, in some sense, heading on to attack for Timekeepers, it's a clean slate, right? There's not much of an advantage over a Team Chaos's side. They're on both agent comps on either side, same agent comps on either side. So, if anything, they're going to try and attempt something different, is what I'd like to think. I think they took that time to learn everything possible about Team Chaos. Of
Yeah.
course, heading into the sides being switched, defense, how differently will be the strategy over at Team Chaos's side is one to watch still. But I think Timekeepers damage control well done, and 6-6 scoreline pretty good enough.
Yeah, I think a 6 scoreline is the best that they could have hoped for, especially given the way they started. हाँ, लेकिन एक और चीज है. Going into the second half, हमने देखा कि time chaos किस तरह से time chaos का बोल रहा हूँ मैं. I'm mixing timekeepers and team chaos somehow. My bad, guys. I'm sorry about that. Team chaos, they really like that mid control, right? So I'm assuming कि on the defense they will do something similar instead of using their killjoy alarm bot or something over there. I'm assuming that they're gonna keep 2 players over there rather and battle for the contest on a catwalk or maybe even towards B tiles. That's what I assume is going to happen given their proximity towards mid this entire half. So let's see if I'm correct or not. Let's see if they choose this exact pathing or are they going to go for something completely else. Of course, we can't really predict much. I don't have much data to go off of about these teams. But so far, they've impressed me quite well. And given the way that Timekeepers adapted, I like their mid-rounding now, even though it was a little problematic towards the start of the half. Team Chaos as well. I can't really say that just because they lost the last 6 rounds in a row, I can't really say that they were struggling. Almost all of those rounds came down to 1v1s and 2v2s. You know, it came down to the wire. And one of those rounds, we almost saw an ace clutch. So that was something. That would have been very impressive if it came through all the way. But hey, so far, both the teams are keeping it fresh. They're keeping it competitive. And I hope that we get to see something similar in the second half.
Yeah, you can add that moment to the same moment we saw yesterday between Soa and Jet as well. I think that was a moment for Omen could have really capitalized and stepped. But yeah, they gave it their every.
For those of you who are still here, a lot of the people who are watching this right now are here because their friends are playing or they're here to support their own crewmates. So I'm really, really happy that you guys are showing up positively and showing us all this support. Love you all, and we'll be back with the second half very shortly.
Don't go anywhere.
Seems like we're still here now, aren't we? That just got a little awkward now, isn't it, Zetaxter? You're looking around.
I was looking for changes if something happened or something didn't happen in that scenario. Anyway, I think
I thought you were
keep
looking
on going.
around. Yeah, I thought you were looking around, appreciating that lovely scenery behind you. What is that background? Can you tell me a little bit about it?
It is. It is. Actually, I remember how I said I'm not a big anime guy. And it's true. I think anything remotely close to anime which I've watched is between Pokemon and Beyblade. Attack on Titan, I believe. I hope I got that right. And yeah, that's one of them who just lent me this wallpaper. And perhaps there is some significance. Maybe folks watching, if they're into anime as much as my friends are, can let me know what it is. I like the color blue. This was scenic. This was beautiful, as you'd expect. Gives me a bit of Valorant vibes as well. Particularly a mix between Haven and Ascent, if I may say.
Yeah.
Considering we are having this match in Ascent. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all the clouds and all the floating stuff gives me a vibe of Ascent. All the green kind of reminds me of Split for some reason. Although that airplane in the background reminds me of League of Legends entirely. Not even League of Legends, it reminds me of Arcane, the show on Netflix. That's also quite crazy. If you haven't really watched it, go for it. It's damn good. So yeah, you really just sinking into the Riot theme like that. So anyway, guys, we are aware of the issues that the stream is facing. We are trying to fix the lag actively, and very soon we'll be back with the second half of this game. So don't go anywhere. Stick around and support your friends. We'll see you on the other side with the second half. everyone, welcome back to Valorant Underground, powered by Global Esports. We are here to find the rising superstars of Indian esports, and so far, the match between Timekeepers and Team Chaos has been nail-biting. We started off with Team Chaos running away with a 5-0 lead, and then Timekeepers managed to make a comeback and tied up the scoreline at 6-6. My heart's racing, and we're about to jump into the second half. Thank you so much for everyone who stuck around despite the lag, despite the technical issues. We love you all, and thank you so much for showing us all the support. Let's get back into the game right now and get this show on the road once again.
Yeah, and based on the chat, everyone's just, as curious as us to get things going and just as excited for the second half of this match itself. And of course, going into the second half, it's going to be interesting to see whether Team Chaos really has something different up their sleeves on defense in comparison to Timekeepers, considering both are on the same agent comps, as mentioned before. How differently will each player on the same agent play? And by the looks of it, I know it's pretty early on into the buy phase itself, things could change, but I've seen this setup before, and I'm pretty sure anyone who's played ranked in Valorant has seen this setup before. Having 4 players in B main and leaving one up on mid top. Familiar scene here for Timekeepers at the very least. But yeah, again, leaning towards mid as you'd expect. They want that mid control. With Jet down in mid spawn, I'd say Percocet is going to be left hanging alone if this is a hard rush down mid.
And this is indeed a rather hard rush. Percocet through the smoke, no vision needed. His extra is activating as he plucks one off while they try to cross this treacherous pathway that exists between market and the site. There's no smokes to its CT, so Tenet definitely has an opportunity to continue applying some pressure over here. And with that over-the-top flash, he might just send them back again. But Timekeepers haven't truly committed towards the B site, not yet. The smoke for their Roman regenerates, and now they can smoke off CT, jump into the side. But little do they know that there's 2 people waiting in the backside, ready to intercept them. Spike goes down, and they run out of bullets. Warhawk has a massive responsibility on his shoulders, but then it comes to the rescue at the last possible moment. And Sukas, he tried to go for a massive flank. Could have probably worked, but unfortunately, never mind, who was rotating a little late. Caught him off guard.
If anyone in chat had any kind of doubts on whether Team Chaos would take on that consistency of continuing to win rounds and hone whichever side they are, they clearly stepped up and proved that they could, despite losing the last 6 rounds to Timekeepers so far. But then again, that's just 1 round on the pistols, and they did a pretty good job holding down sight. And unfortunate to see Timekeepers actually be on the back foot and feed players pretty much 1v1s and losing gunfights the way that they did. Aware of that mid aggression on Catwalk, a similar one seen by themselves earlier on by Timekeepers themselves. Team Chaos themselves, they are prepared for that cat push, I'd like to think, with 2 players down in tree. But how will this unravel? Monka W just biding time. Dash is activated. Okay, backs off, getting that bit of info. Aware of just KO in tree, but are they disregarding the fact that he has a teammate? He's got that fit of support to hold them back. The smokes come down, however, from Team Chaos's side, holds them up, and now Team Chaos have the information and are prepared for whatever might unravel. You can see the Jet ready to execute that mid, and Percocet picks up Puari down in mid, but a trade comes through from Sakas after all, and it is all of a sudden 4v4, still level playing field, and Rudy and Monka haven't gone anywhere from Cat.
30 seconds left.
4v4, 20 seconds left. We've seen Team Chaos fall into this exact trap early on, but it seems like Timekeepers are now the ones who are running out of time and running out of HP. My God, this guy almost died. The turret and the other killjoy both shooting them down. And although he doesn't have much of a chance to pull off this 1v3 considering he's almost dead, it's nice that he at least managed to get the plant down, so this will help Timekeepers a little bit in terms of economy.
Yeah, surely enough, eco matters in a round like that, especially a couple 2 rounds of pistols, as any Valorant player would know. But that is another round going in favor of Team Chaos. I mean, is it the same strategy we're seeing from Timekeepers, really just trying one thing or the other, trying to learn their opponents more so than right off the bat getting rounds on the board? Perhaps it is, perhaps it isn't, but by the looks of it, still early times, and Team Chaos takes the lead once again of this match. And let's not forget, loser has to face off another team here today in match number 3. But for now, Team Chaos can sit pretty well on this round, and I believe it will be that bonus round as you'd expect. But a full buy coming from Timekeepers. And the recon goes down to Tiles, intercepted by Rudy. Percocet falls. The Warhawk is quick with the trade, but all of a sudden, the match is turned around in favor of Timekeepers.
Mid, heavily under assault. Timekeepers grouping up. And Team Chaos are on the verge of rotating successfully. The drone clears out close 3, but it doesn't realize that Warhawk is right around the corner. If he can somehow thread the needle and catch Team Chaos as they don't check, and he backstabs them right now in the smoke, it would be great, but there's one to his right as well. And this would be a trap that Warhawk falls for.
Smart stuff, leaving that one player down in tree just to wait and see if there's anyone
Spike
ambitious to
planted.
walk down garden. But yeah, just leaving.
2v4, I guess at this point, Team Chaos can only hope to cause some economic damage. Oh, even that doesn't seem possible. They
One
got
enemy
dinked.
remaining.
Smoke fades away, Kuwari fades Tenet's life away as we speak of that. And now it's just up to Nevermind to get some exit kills, but nobody's gonna give him any. Nobody's even approaching this area. So yeah, hoping to save a Phantom and carry it forward into the next round. Timekeepers get their first round win in this half on the board. At least this will keep Team Chaos humble, right? Considering they won the first 2 rounds and they, in the first half, were able to string together so many rounds, it basically kept Timekeepers broke for so long. At least Timekeepers won't face that exact same problem in this half. They won't lose that early steam, early momentum. So this definitely should be a much closer affair.
Yeah, surely enough, considering some would say I'm reading too much into this, but we didn't really get to see Team Chaos really push down A short as hard as we saw Timekeepers, at least not as well as Heaven, instead of having anyone on site. But Timekeepers are, that's A-okay.
Yeah, at least they get to the switch and they're able to close down the doorway, but there's still some opportunity of spamming through. Paranoia to 3. This should give
Spike planted.
Timekeepers some breathing room as they get the spike down. What, will they be able to get into close spots? Absolutely not. The recon equalizes the stuff. But hey, those shock darts will break any and every nanosword that Arsene might have placed. Not that he had any to begin with. Down to the 2-4 as Timekeepers continue to fall like flies. Kuwari is in a very rough spot. Can get shot down from either side, but it's up to
Last
Sukas
player
to keep him
standing.
alive. And he's not able to do so. The timing a bit unfortunate. And as soon as he pulls his bow out, Tenet pulls the gun, puts him in his grave. Team Chaos back in the lead.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from Team Chaos, stepping up the way that they did, and they didn't give up on certain information that they had. They knew Zane was coming through A short, or at least would expect one player through A short, and read pretty well, picking off Zane, and that retake execution done pretty well. Credit where credit is due. So on the Odin, well done to him. Made that round count, and Team Chaos now with the lead and takes the timeout. Kuwari takes the timeout. That is Timekeepers probably figuring out what to do differently heading into the next couple of rounds, considering they are on the back foot, but not too much of a gap, of course. And perhaps we even see an OT, because considering yesterday's match and considering this match now, these two teams are pretty equally matched, and they've been going trade for trade, blow for blow for the most part. But it does depend on what unravels in the next couple of rounds.
Yeah, at least it's close enough, right? Yesterday's match started off as a very close game, but then it quickly turned into a one-sided affair by the time we got to the second half. It ended 13-6. So, yeah, I hope this doesn't go down the same path. For now, one of the issues that Timekeepers can try to fix is how much utility they bait out of Team Chaos. For now, what Team Chaos are doing is that they just hold their ground. They don't feel the need to play aggressively because they are never lacking information that way. What Timekeepers need to do is make Team Chaos expend all of their utility as quickly as possible at the start of the round, so they have nothing to delay them once Timekeepers actually begin their real assault. But that's just one of the problems that they need to fix, and unfortunately, I'm no coach, so maybe this advice won't really help them out as much as I hope it would. For now, Timekeepers are showing head presence towards B, and like I said, they're just pulling all the utilities away from Team Chaos. They forced Team Chaos to expend a couple of the Nano Swarms and even the Cloud Burst. And now with another off definitely will Percocet, Warhawk, both of them standing tall and mince-meeting Timekeepers as they try to cross this treacherous path into lane 1. Viz even drops down and tries to finish off all the stragglers, leaving Arsene alone and
Last
very,
player
very
standing.
vulnerable and blind as well. Now without a head. Instant decimation for Timekeepers.
Yeah, I love to see how quick that rotation came through from Team Chaos. As instantly, as soon as they had that info that Timekeepers are gonna come in, or at least it looked like it. I am surprised seeing that kind of gameplay coming through from Timekeepers side. So far, it didn't seem like they were the kind to really commit that pretty early on, but they did, however, in Chaos, and they know how to hold this side from.
Ooh, nice parallel. Look at the way they used it from all the way over there. They pushed back the guy who was holding down mid. Hey, but the op is still over there. So I guess that Jet has her work cut out for her. Team Chaos, now knowing that Timekeepers are heavy showing presence towards mid, will reposition. But instead of watching mid now, because it's been blocked by a bunch of smokes, they focus on B main instead. That Jet on Team Chaos doesn't see anyone over here. And sure, it is a little bit of a trap as she tries to position her op. Tened now has a suspicion because they're not going towards B main yet, and because they're showing A main, not A main, because they're showing mid presence, there's only one place where they can really come, and the 0 point will detect quite a lot of people. This should confirm all the beliefs that Team Chaos were harboring about their opponents.
Yeah, and Tenet expecting this. I'm surprised he hasn't had any kind of support so far come through. On his side, he backs off completely, giving the attackers of Timekeepers what they need in 3. But are they aware? There's a sly little nevermind down in Wines. Gets one. Can he get another? Denies the plant as Warhawks. Hunter's Fury comes through from spawn. And this has delayed, arguably, Timekeepers way too long.
Spike planted.
But plant does come through. But Rudy's aware of nevermind down in Wines.
Blinding.
Now they're gonna wait. The paranoia comes through. This retake, how will it unravel? Nevermind goes to Zane, however. He's right there like a rat down under. Wiz gets 2. And all of a sudden, it is almost level playing field, but the diffuse has begun. Are they aware? Are they even aware? Okay, picks him off. Then it falls to Monka. Monka down under. How much longer before he falls? Barely a second, you would argue. 1v1. The spike has been hard. Will he get it? Almost.
Concentrate.
But the best player won.
Clutch.
That was really close. Team Chaos really making this one work. I almost thought Team Timekeepers will be able to pull this one off, especially when they killed the diffuser. That kill came through at the last second. But then comes the big bad Odin just spraying all across. And you could see that Timekeepers did not want to fight that Odin. They were just trying to keep themselves alive, play for time, keep themselves alive for as long as possible in hell. But yeah, the Odin just spammed everyone out. And then switches over to the Spectre to finish the job. Team Chaos now have quite a lot of ultimates, one of them being the lockdown. Of course, they will hesitate to use it a little because Timekeepers do have their Hunter's Fury online, so they will have to be very cautious about this one. Ultimate from the Omen. Stuck. Okay, he actually doesn't stick it to its tree. He just uses it to gather information, but spots no one. That's a very expensive attempt to gather information.
Yeah, surely enough. Now aware, however, that there is Percocet down in mid-market. They are heading towards, or at least attempts to get mid-control in its entirety, Timekeepers. But they still seem confused, don't they? At least by positioning, as you can see, Kubani goes down to Percocet, and with Warhawks Odin, that's gonna render them useless down to mid-bottom, and they're gonna attempt, or at least been forced to push A-Shot if they want to continue. They aren't like Team Chaos, are they? They're not like the ones who want to play out time. They want to keep moving, and that's costing them, as you can see. A Warhawk picks up Sukaz on the other end, and it is advantage in this round, at least, for Team Chaos, as the time ticks down to the last 30 seconds on the clock. Mid is theirs. Timekeepers could attempt something
30 seconds
unusual.
left.
But how unusual will it be? They back off.
Exactly, that's the unusual stuff that you were looking forward to. They break the turret, which indicates to Team Chaos that mid presence is there. But I think the recon dot that there so was about to shoot out will spot nobody towards mid, and this should confirm all their beliefs. No, it actually lands towards
10
tree,
seconds
and
left.
now it's up to Nevermind to somehow hold this ground. He manages to get one, and this should confirm all their beliefs. Last 5 seconds, they can't deny the plant, but Team Chaos can begin this retake before Timekeepers have the time to get into post-plant positions. The lockdown's going to force their hand. They need to get back. And there's only one place where they can realistically go, and that's towards Vine.
No charges left.
If there are any nanoswarms, they can be chucked in to
One
burn
enemy
Rudy down.
remaining.
And the Odin will just span them out. The Diffuse being stuck. Monka can't peek in time. And even though he gets all the kills that is required, he can't stop Team Chaos from reaching that
Match
point.
point.
Held that down pretty well, Team Chaos, and find themselves on match point.
Can I get
That
that?
round was rather, well, an opportunity slip perhaps. It just looks like, based on their positioning overall down in mid, Timekeepers seem so out of place when things don't really go their way in the first 30 seconds at the very least, but hopefully they can bounce back. They've been leaning towards the styles push just for the sake of information pretty early into the round, and it hasn't gone their way on most occasions, and this time they're holding back. They're expecting any kind of aggression from Team Chaos, but you can see Team Chaos, they're comfortable where they are, and even with the rotations, they're much more fluid that way to back their teammates up in time, and yeah, that unravels the way you'd expect heading towards Cat once again. Timekeepers, hopefully it goes their way, but Tenet's once again there to stop them. And stop them he will with a Molly to begin with, I reckon, but the drone comes out. And this is going to stop them just for a little while. Fix Tenet off, but at what cost? 3 players. At the cost of 3 players.
It's like walking into a meat grinder, man. You got Nevermind peeking you from a long, the Odin peeking from
One
over
enemy
there,
remaining.
and you just simply can't get through. Kuwari manages to sneak in towards the side, but he's so hesitant to plant. The moment he sticks that spike, he knows he's going to get peeked from heaven, so he's going to do what should be the best move, and that is play for yet another pick. He's got plenty of time to work with, so he's just hoping that Team Chaos
30 seconds
overextends and
left.
grants him a pick that he so desperately requires. This should alleviate a little bit of pressure and let him plant. But how long can he afford to hold? Are Team Chaos going to call this bluff?
Just for precaution, Warhawk heads to B side regardless.
Shadows
He doesn't have his ultimate in his
10
favor, so the
seconds
smokes
left.
comes out to block off Heaven for
Spike
just a
planted.
bit longer, but the Hunter's Fury is right there. Almost
One
snags
enemy
him.
remaining.
Percocet goes down. And all of a sudden, it is level playing for Kuwari versus Warhawk. And let the best player win. However, Kuwari is playing to keep his team alive in this match. Warhawk's
Very cheeky
playing for the
position.
win.
Yeah, Warhawk has to figure out where he's gonna be. Now he's gonna assume that he'll hide under hell because that's where the plant is, and he doesn't know that Kuwari is on heaven. He can suspect that he's climbed up, but he won't check. He actually will check that angle, and that should be game. Damn, I really thought Kuwari had that in the back. That was quite an unconventional hiding position. But Warhawk, as
Defenders
diligent as
win.
ever, as
not our day to
as thoroughly as he can check, he will clear out all the corners and get that win for the team.
Well, as much as they'd like to continue their run in the tournament itself with wins and wins, they're on the back foot and they're gonna be here on match number 3, Timekeepers. They're gonna meet with the loser of the following match, but credit the Team Chaos. The way they adapted on defense and the way they just executed retakes and just held down sites was much better from where I was sitting at the very least in comparison to Time Seekers.
Well, that was quite an impressive game, honestly. Even though the first half was 6-all and we thought this would go down to the wire, Timekeepers just simply couldn't keep up, man. Team Chaos just sped ahead, and they had quite a lot of different kinds of attacks in their arsenal, right? I mean, sometimes they would just hold their ground, sometimes they will peak aggressively with their ops, and their retakes are just so efficient. They just eliminate every single position where an enemy can hide. They use the utility to clear it out, and they use it well. I mean, if the SOA is shooting a recon towards one particular area, the other guy won't flash that area. He will flash some other place. So they diligently clear every position out. It's almost like they were playing the map rather than playing against their opponent team. They're just clearing every position out rather than trying to anticipate where their opponents can be. They're just being super, super thorough with all of this.
Yeah, and once again, I'm bringing this up again because timekeepers clearly did seem so out of place, right? On attack at the tail end of it. Maybe it was on the mental side, maybe just that they'd run out of ideas pretty much, but it did seem pretty stagnant in terms of what they were doing, going to tiles pretty early on into every round, and then leaning towards a short time and time again. And Team Chaos, despite wherever timekeepers went, whether they decided to go down mid, whether they lean towards B main heavily, they were there, and specifically rotations came through spectacularly on time. So credit to them; they properly know how to adapt and play as a team.
Yeah, they definitely do. But the journey isn't over, timekeepers, yet. They may have lost this game, but they still have their run in the lower bracket remaining. Up next is going to be Firefly Esports versus Team Insanity, and the loser of that particular game will face timekeepers in the lower bracket. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We have two more nail-biting games on still left for the day. So we'll see you on the other side of the short break. Hi guys. I wish I had some good news. I was waiting all this time, hoping. I really think that they're a very entertaining team to watch. Like, अगर तुम लोग उनका match देखते, I think you guys would have been very, very entertained. These guys are showmen, you know. They don't just play; they play to entertain. थोड़ा flashy gameplay है उनका. Even Team Insanity. Like, unfortunately though, we will have to conduct offline. Multiple. As you guys know, हमारे भी थोड़े tech issues. Internet isn't really reliable today. Indian ISPs or Dhoka, both go hand in hand all the goddamn time. And it's kind of unfortunate that even in 20. Secondly, Team Insanity is having issues as well. One of their players just lost his power and because we don't want to keep you guys this stream be laggy, we will be conducting these matches offline. I know it's sad. Nobody is sadder than I am because I really wanted to cast Firefly Esports versus Insanity, especially when I know the people who are playing these games and I can give context. I would love to cast this match, but unfortunately, ये ऑफ स्ट्रीम होने वाला है. इस गेम के सारे जो डिटेल्स है, सारे स्कोर लाइंस एंड अपडेट्स वो हमें आपको सोशल मीडिया पे देने पड़ेंगे. सो गो अहेड एंड फॉलो @global esports in on Instagram and Twitter. But unfortunately, that is it from our side. Also, go ahead and subscribe to this channel, Valorant GE. We don't just do underdog tournaments over here, but हमारे roster updates भी यहीं पे आएंगे. So it's best before we depart over here.
Yeah, well, one prediction I actually put out there was that Team Insanity is going to stand out, and you mentioned Firefly Esports having flashy plays and whatnot. I I went ahead and predicted that maybe they'll be able to match them, Team Insanity, but unfortunately, nevertheless, the best team will come out on top, and we'll get to cast that match later on, heading into
Yeah.
next week. But today, I think the match was pretty good between Timekeepers as well as Team Chaos. It was a treat for those of you who
Yeah,
stayed.
definitely.
Thank you very much, as you'd reckon, and thank you to the players. They put on quite the show.
Yeah, the players put on quite a show. Even the community who showed up to watch was very supportive of us. And we know that there were plenty of technical issues, but you guys stayed with us through all of that. And for that, dil se main aapka shukriya karta hoon. Thank you so much for being there. And I hope that you continue showing us this support in the rest of the tournament as well. We'll be back with more Valorant action soon enough. See you guys on the other side. Take care and good night.
Cheers, folks.